Hey, welcome back to the show. This is a audio only episode. I'm here in Baltimore with a really good friend, Cam Carter.
Here we go.
And if you have not heard his episode on essentially going from a pre-military scam artist to a during military scam artist. Now, I used to sell ADT, which is actually a very interesting concept. Joined the military linguist, did 6 years, and now he works for Amazon. His background doesn't necessarily matter for the context of this, but I'm here visiting a good friend of mine, and I have a list of questions that I'm going to ask him.
I'm somewhat of a mentor. Good friend is maybe an understatement.
False.
Come on.
No.
I'm basically single-handedly helping this guy get his doctorate.
Yeah, that is true. He did help me with my doctorate work earlier, so shout out to him for that.
Basically, I'm a doctorate.
Yeah, we're both. You're the honorary doctor.
Yeah, no,
Is.
I'm a doctorate.
Genuine question. These are like some questions that I wrote just in my notes that I might continue to do as a segment.
Yeah.
Because this is a lot easier to produce more of. But
Yeah, that's a good put.
is it easier to follow people with ideas than it is to follow the idea itself?
Ooh, I think it's kind of polarizing. I think if you have a really good leader that has a bad idea, Hitler, I think it's kind of hard not to follow it. I guess you can go both ways with that. I would rather follow a good person with, you said good person, good idea, or rephrase it again?
Yeah. Is it easier to follow people with ideas than it is to follow the idea itself? That's a good question.
I think for most people, it's easier to follow people with ideas.
Why do you think that?
Because if it's an idea, you have to basically implement it yourself. But if you're following somebody with an idea, you're kind of doing what their vision of it is. And most people just want to be told what to do or shown what to do.
So you said most people.
Yeah.
You feel like you fall into that bucket?
Depending on what it is. If it's something I have no concept of, or I'm like uncomfortable leading, then yeah, I would rather follow somebody with the idea. But if it's an idea I think I can manage myself, I would much rather just do it myself. If I think it's manageable. I'm trying to think of an example.
Yeah, I was gonna say that a lot of the questions that I have are very abstract.
Yeah, let's
And so
think of an example, like if I wanted a guy to build a shed in the back, or if I wanted a shed built in the back, like I'm comfortable enough with it, like I would rather go with that guy's idea of kind of how it should be built instead of the idea of a shed being built and me implementing it.
I see where you just went with that. That is not at all. When I wrote this, that was not what I was thinking.
I'll give you an example of what you mean.
I think so what spawned this question actually was I saw a vehicle driving with the Trump 2024 like sticker on it.
Yeah.
And I didn't really think anything of it, but I was just like, oh, I wonder if, and follow me through this logic train.
Yeah.
I was like, I wonder if there's more subliminal messaging with having a Trump sticker than it is having an Obama sticker. I skipped Biden completely, President Biden,
Yeah.
former President Biden. And I went to Obama because when Obama got elected, there was like crazy merchandise
Yeah.
for Obama. Like that was the first time I recognized like people like buying merchandise with president stuff on it, right?
Black-owned businesses starting up.
Exactly. And then I see the exact same concept with Trump.
Yeah.
And so I initially started thinking, I was like, well, was that people supporting a black president, or was that people supporting the fact that that's just a president and they wanted a sticker with it with the American flag, which I actually thought was less of the case. I don't think people genuinely care so much about the president that they're willing to put a sticker on anything with the president's name on it unless they directly align with that person's vision. You know what I'm saying? Does that make more sense?
I think, no offense, I think if you have stickers on your car, you're not worried about what vision you're aligning with. You're worried about putting stickers on your car. I just think I've never put stickers on my car. I've just never been that kind of guy. I think for Obama, it was like the first black president, which was, awesome and incredible for where this country was at 200-300 years ago to where we're at now. Like it just seems unfathomable. It's a great accomplishment. And I think the fact that he was the first black president and a great orator, learned it, all that, like a great guy all around, seemingly. I think they were behind the idea of that black president. I think that's what it was. And then like the whole Trump thing, Trump just has the supporters, no matter what, of just his policies and how he gets down. But I think people that have the stickers on their car for Trump, I just don't feel like those people are really worried about his political or ideologies. You know what I mean? They like the build the wall shit. They like that. That's just I don't think that they're aligned with him.
But isn't that an idea? To go back to your example earlier of like whatever example you gave of like building, you watch somebody build something. I don't think these people are going out and building the wall themselves, but it's the idea of, slowing immigration and all this other stuff.
But my original point was people want to people are born to follow, so they're following Trump because he has the idea, right? If they had the idea to build the wall and they had the efficacy to do it, they would go do it. But they can't, so they need somebody with the idea to support, and so they put stickers on their car.
You think it's actually about the wall though?
I mean, I don't know what I think. I think he's a very polarizing character, and I just think they like how he gets down. I mean, he's one of the most American presidents I think we've had in a while. He doesn't play no shit. He takes no shit. His hand. I feel like his hand's always on that button, ready for whatever. And I think people like that. And I also think he catered to a certain kind of people too.
A specific target audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. It's more so interesting for me, taking a completely like moderate point of view, because that's just who I am as a person, not necessarily because I think I'm like gonna get canceled with the 30 people that are listening to this. Yeah, shout out to all 30 people. And if you listen to this semi chronologically, again, thank you. I posted this on Instagram. Thank you to all the people that gave Jamie and I those compliments from her episode.
Yeah, that was a great episode.
Yeah, she's living in the clouds since then. But that being said, yeah, I just go back to the American flag thing, dude. Like, we had the American flag on everything because, one, part of the uniform, but then two, like, you get a backpack post BMT, you go and buy a patch and put a flag on it.
Yeah.
At least I did.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's different. I feel like you get pretty indoctrinated going through basic training, so you get out and you're all gung ho about America. I think like I don't know if that's necessarily like you following the wave of America being more American. I think you got pretty indoctrinated to believe you were doing the Lord's work through the military, and you're like, I want this flag on my bag.
Well, how come? I guess so. If you're in the military, that makes sense. But
Which was the same narrative.
yeah. But how come? I guess I just don't get it. Like, you put a sticker on anything, or you wear a hat with anything on it. The branding, I guess I'm more so thinking of like, what is.
I think you covered it. Branding. I think branding is the word for it. You show what you like or what you represent. Like, I mean, I like wearing Nike clothes and Under Armour clothes, like athletic clothes. Like I like the feel. I like the look. I think I like the brands, right?
But is it easier to sell an identity than it is to not? Because look at the NFL, dude. The NFL is like gabillions of dollars, and when you talk to people, this is a much deeper conversation now about identity.
Yeah,
but
that's fine.
But
I got nothing else to do. Golf's over now.
you walk up to somebody and you're just like, "Oh, do you watch sports?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm a Lions fan," or "I'm a Jags," or sorry, they didn't even say I'm a Jags fan. Some people do.
Yeah.
But when you talk about sports, you're just like, "Oh yeah, like how did the Jags do this year?" People are always like, "We did this."
Yeah. I mean, I think like we always want to be part of a community. That's just part of who we are. Like it goes back to the days when we were in tribes and all that. Shout out Carl Jung for the book. Or no, Sebastian Younger.
Yeah.
Carl Jung is a philosopher, right?
I have no idea who it is.
Sure, yeah, pretty sure it is.
Carl Jung.
Yeah, Carl Jung. He's a philosopher. Sebastian Younger. Yeah, I think we just like being part of a tribe, a part of a community. Going back to our lifetime fitness, talk we were having earlier. I think people like being just part of something bigger than themselves. So when they say like we, like they identify as that part of the country. You know what I mean?
Did you do that?
What's up?
What do you say with that part of the country? You mean like
with whatever? Like, I mean, think about like if I'm from North Carolina. One of the first questions you get, like if you're a basketball fan, you're like, oh shit, you Carolina, you Duke. Like that's how you identify immediately. Like Carolina or Duke. Which one are you? Which one do you represent? Which one do you like? I think it just come down to that. Like it is somewhat of an identity. It's also like a talking point too. You know what I mean? Like building common ground. Like, oh, you watch football? Who's your team? Oh yeah. Oh, are you from Florida? Oh, I've been out to Florida. I have friends in Florida. I feel like it's a conversation starter as well in a way you connect. You get a massage chair on there or no? Have you tried that yet?
No, I feel like it's gonna be too loud.
Think so? I can turn it off.
No, and don't say anything. Well, this hasn't spiked, so I guess it sounds like it's picking it up, but it's not at the same time.
Either way, all right. What's the next opportunity?
Well, I looked up Carl Jung, Swiss psychiatrist and psychotherapist.
Oh, there you go.
So before we start recording, I talked about my ventures into college and how I dual majored in history and philosophy.
Yeah.
And that's where I wanted to go with my life. I always thought psychology was a very interesting
Me too.
concept. What Cam and I talked about earlier is some studies are obviously more general than others. Some fields of study are more general than other. I would say organizational leadership is pretty general, just as an example. Psychology also felt very general, but again, I'm naming subjects, not necessarily like fields of study within those subjects. At least for me, it's interesting how psychology explains
Everything.
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 And so does history.
Yeah. Yeah. That's sure.
But then when people talk about it, like when you talk to people about it, they're just like, oh yeah, I got a degree in psychology. And they kind of like downplay it.
Yeah.
Maybe because they haven't done anything quote unquote significant, at least to them in it.
Hard to do something with just a bachelor's in psychology.
But even still, like if you talk to somebody who's like, oh yeah, I got my degree in biology, like maybe they don't do anything with their degree either, but like society still looks at that and they look at psychology again, even though it describes everything.
Yeah.
People look at psychology and even psychologists and they're just like, but what have you done
I
for
think
me?
it's taboo, right? Because we know we're fucked up as people. We know we all have deep fucked up thoughts and shit like that deep down inside. And I think psychologists have a bad rap for being the people that bring that out and make you face those things. So when you think about a psychologist, you're like, oh, they're always looking for the worst in people and all that. I think it's just a negative connotation for those people. Like if somebody, one of your friends, like, yeah, I'm going to see a psychologist. You're like, oh shit, like what's wrong? Like what's going on with you? It's a little bit better now because mental health is looked at a lot better than it used to be, which is good. But back in the day, like, oh man, if you had a friend in middle school that was going to see a psychologist, you're like, oh shit, what happened to you? What's wrong with you?
Which doesn't make any sense because and I use this example all the time, for the AFOQT, the first time I took the AFOQT, I got a 1 in the qualitative or quantitative, excuse me. Yeah, I got a 1.
Scale of 0 to 1.
No, it's a percentile.
Oh,
So yeah, and what's crazy is if you go into Reddit, a lot of people will be like, how do you rate my test scores? And like people are getting 1s all the time, but they'll get like 99 in pilot, which is interesting because the math scores filter into pilot. So it's
quantitative is math.
yeah.
I never took the AFOQT.
Yeah, I think you would enjoy the test.
I don't enjoy any tests. I had enough of tests.
No, yeah, but anyway, yeah. So it made for a very interesting conversation when I went to the weapons school to talk to my commander.
You got a 1, bro?
And I was like, hey, I need you to write my letter of recommendation. And my commander at the time was like, bro, what is that?
You were so nervous about that, and then you saw I think you got the score, and I remember you being like super sad about it. You were pretty bummed about
Of
that.
course, bro. It's a 1, dude. It's a percentile.
Hey, brother, you're the 1%.
Yeah,
I'm brother.
I'm 1% of yeah. Anyway,
That's funny. To 1. That's crazy.
yeah. So the issue is I got a 1 on this test, and I immediately was like, I need to go get a tutor. Like, there's a flaw in the system. I need to go fix it.
Yeah.
So I can be the best version of me, right? And get this job and do all the things. Now, when people have mental issues that they have labeled as issues, but they're really just like, everyone has flaws, like I just described. But there's stuff that is a flaw that other people can manage and deal with, or you can manage and deal with.
Yeah.
And then there's stuff that people just prefer not to be around, or you prefer not to have. And so when you look at it that way, you're just like, oh, well, therapy makes perfect sense. Or like having a psychologist, like a clinical, like someone who specializes in brain functions and helping people.
Yeah.
It's just wild to me how you could, and like you and I are both competitive people.
Yeah.
So in my head, and this has been repeated over time, in my head, I'm like, why would I allow myself to be disadvantaged by not seeking help from these specialists?
Yeah.
And I feel like it's been proven with like Michael Jordan, like Tony Robbins, if you know who that is, like all these people who like hold these big stages, and they all talk about mental gain, like the mental aspect of life.
Oh yeah.
But then people are still like, yeah, but that's a cockamamie science, dude. That doesn't make any sense.
I mean, I feel like with math, like 2 + 2 is always 4, right? That's just what it is. I feel like that's easy to, it's concrete. Like you can't really dispute that. But if one of your guys like, yeah, I was sad, I went and talked to this guy, and now I'm happy. Somebody could be like, yeah, but like how? Like tell me how that happened. You could have just been happy on your own. as opposed to like math. If you just don't get math, you can go get a tutor and then you can explain like, oh, he showed me why 2 on this hand and 2 on this hand makes 4. Like it just, I feel like it's concrete. It's explainable. But the psychology is the pseudoscience-ish because there's no way to actually truly prove it.
Do you think that lack of practicality in social sciences, you kind of already just answered this,
Yeah.
but like, do you feel like that lack of practicality is why people avoid social sciences? Or do you think it's more so, and it can be both, or do you think it's more so the fact that it's hard internal work that you have to do?
As far as going to do it or just objectively considering like therapy?
Both.
I think considering therapy for yourself, I think it's scary because you know you're gonna have to do hard work and you have to open up to somebody, right? And then tell them your deepest, darkest secrets, and they might point some things out about yourself that you don't want to realize, you don't want to admit to. So I think that's always hard and scary, and people don't really want to do that work. And it's not common, right? People are always afraid of the unknown, so it's something that they're just terrified to go do.
Have you ever been to therapy?
I tried to go. I tried to schedule a therapy session with a lady, and she's like, "All right, we'll do a pre consultation just to kind of see, or a consultation to kind of see what it is." And I was like, "Okay, let's do it." She's like, "All right, are you going through a divorce?" I was like, "No." She's like, "Are you addicted to drugs?" I was like, "No." She's like, "Are you struggling in debt?" I was like, "No." She's like, "Are you being abused or are you abusive?" I was like, "No, none of those things." She's like, "Is anything really bad going on in your life?" I was like, "No, not really. I just want to kind of get to know myself a little bit better and kind of see if the things I think about myself are true. And if there's a way I can kind of optimize how I handle situations and make myself a better person." She was like, "Yeah, well, I don't really deal with that. I really deal with people with issues. So good luck to you." Oh, okay. Or maybe, that was just the one I tried. And I think I'm pretty good at recognizing things about myself. And I'm sure there's more things I could do better and understand better about myself that I just haven't found it to be that necessary yet to go talk to somebody to try to figure some of those things out. I feel like I figure them out, good enough for my own self right now. I don't know if it's necessarily like scared. Maybe some part of it is, but I just don't want to take that time away from doing other things to go sit down with somebody when it may take a year to actually get some progress. I don't know. I know people always say you should do therapy, and like when people are struggling, I encourage them to go do it. I don't think it's a terrible thing. I don't frown on anybody or look down on anybody who does it. Do what you need to do to take care of yourself. I just don't think I need it at this point to really get myself through the days.
Which makes sense. I think I mean, I think I've talked about this in previous episodes. I've been going to therapy since I was like 10,
Yeah.
but I also am in a different line of work. So now I'm like much less going to therapy for myself. I'm going to therapy to learn different ways to articulate emotions so I can help other people name emotions when I talk to them. Like couples therapy is a perfect example. Group therapy is another perfect example. Like it's a lot less individually focused because to your point, I think I am at a really good point. I mean, if you look at it, that's 19 years of therapy. Like, and a lot of times it was twice a month. A lot of times it was once a month. Sometimes it was like once every 5 months after deployments or whatever, right? Like I spent a lifetime. And even if I wasn't in a therapy specific office, I'm having conversations like this where we talk about therapy,
Okay.
And so it's been a long road of me either learning my own emotions through therapy, gaining tools, sometimes not immediately practical, but they're good ways to think that then have allowed me to kind of create processes and immediate feedback loops for myself, kind of to what you just described.
Yeah.
Of like, I feel like I have enough to be able to navigate negative and positive emotions as they come. So like, I don't really need, like, you don't pick up a shovel if you don't need a shovel.
Yeah.
Like you pick up the right tool that you need, right? And so, yeah, at least in like this next chapter in my life, I feel like it is way more advantageous for me to continue to go to therapy, but to be able to like learn more about other people. But subjectively, I would say that is because of my past and the fact that I'm interested in social science. So I'm kind of basically paying $100 to like learn more skills from a licensed therapist.
But I feel like you're learning those skills by working on yourself. Like you're saying you're learning those things, how to identify, emotions in other people. Like you're doing that by working on yourself and knowing what those emotions feel like and look like to you. So you can, I don't know if you project is the right word, but you can see those on other people. So you're still doing work on yourself. You may not see it as that way, but it's still self-work.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah, I've dedicated I am dedicated to a lifetime of self-work is what I was trying to say.
I mean, I feel like everybody should be.
Yeah, a lot of people just don't though.
Maybe contradictory to my point. I mean, I think eventually I would like to get into therapy. I just don't know what I would go talk about. I don't really know what I maybe I need to try it out at some point. I'm curious, like, what this group therapy is like. What is that like?
Group therapy, I would say, so obviously there's levels to it and like everybody specializes in their own thing. I would say group therapy is really interesting because you get like, if for the fourth time today, Cam and I are going to talk about, logic and reasoning, but I think it's really important to gather other people's perspectives, but not just for the sake of like inclusivity in gathering people's perspectives. I think it's important, at least for me, so I can understand if the processes that I'm making for the various decisions in different stages in my life
Mm.
hold up, right? So like kids for a perfect example, and hopefully, and I told you about Aunt Holly and Uncle Frankie. This is kind of a pseudo shout out to Aunt Holly because I kind of hope she comes on the podcast.
Yeah.
But I really want to talk to Aunt Holly about raising children in Vegas, right? So like I don't have any kids. We're planning on having kids in the future, right? Like
Yeah.
a lot of people have talked about several things as far as like kids go and about how they change your life, they change your perspective, they change all these things. But I don't have that. So like I can't take that. I can't just be like, you're right,
Yeah.
because I've never experienced that. But
Yeah.
the reason why I want to talk to Aunt Holly is because she's got two awesome boys who are very different people. And obviously your kids grow up to be different, but they were born and raised in Vegas,
Yeah.
where a city where a lot of people are like, there is no culture in Vegas outside of
Gambling,
sinning.
botching.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So like, yeah. And so I am so interested in digging into like the nature versus nurture there
Yeah.
of like, I think Holly is a great person and I think her boys are great. So like when the odds theoretically are stacked against you, quote unquote, right? Like,
Yeah.
because obviously not every situation is going to be like cut and dry like that. But like when the odds are theoretically stacked against you and all you see is like, you go to the airport, you see the machines everywhere, right? Like you go to the strip to go get a hot dog and there's strip clubs everywhere. Like how you have those conversations with your kids. And so because I have no experience with that, I want to talk to her about it,
Yeah. I think it'd be a good conversation. I think the novelty would kind of wear off. Like people that live in the same city as a waterfall, right? Of course, it's like that waterfall's awesome. It's amazing. To everybody else, all the tourists, it's the most beautiful thing. But to that person, it's the waterfall by my house. Like maybe the novelty wears off over time. So when they're like, maybe they're in their teens, they're trying to sneak into it, but eventually they're like, yeah, Vegas is just Vegas. Like it is what it is. Like, it's not gonna be that big of a deal to them when all their friends are like, "Yo, let's go to" say they go off to Michigan and go to college, and they're like, "Yo, bro, well, on summer break, we're going to Vegas to party and chill." I'm like, "Dude, Vegas is like, it's nothing.
Yeah.
I've lived there, so maybe it'll be nothing. Maybe it'll just be a novelty that just becomes the normal to them."
That is a good point. And Holly, if you're listening to this, shout out.
Shout out.
Yeah,
I have
please.
no idea who you were saying. You could say Ann Holly. I was like, "Who is Ann Holly?"
Yeah, and Holly.
No idea who that is.
Dude, she's awesome. Dude, she is so awesome.
She's gonna be at the wedding, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All right, we're gonna have a dance off, Ann Holly, if you.
I think she'd be down. I think she'd be down.
All right. I break it down now. We've been doing the same moves since 2021, though. You don't fail.
Yeah, Jamie's been doing the jerk in every parking lot
Oh, yeah.
that you could possibly, if there's free open space, 3 feet of space, she's hitting the jerk.
Well, I was
So-
like, me and Jimmy had a jerk off last night, and I won.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that sentence because I knew it was going to come off weird, but
But you know what it is.
yeah.
You know what it is. I was born a better jerker.
All right, back to the original philosophical and
Yeah, that.
because we take things very seriously here. Yeah, just for the sake of time, because I know we got to wrap up and go upstairs. This was intentionally supposed to be a short episode where we try to navigate one, maybe two specific thoughts. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would be really curious. One thing I'm trying to do with the podcast is like get on authors who have recently published books, because theoretically, like they've captured either one or multiple ideas
Yeah.
and are capable of articulating those ideas. Another thought, and this will transition to an idea that I had that I wanted to share, is that, with the authors, I was like, oh, doctors have done the exact same thing. And they don't have to be from these two groups, but just the ability to think of an idea and articulate an idea, as messy as your brain could possibly come up. But I really do want to ask people in the academic space about the stigma that is social sciences versus actual sciences, and not necessarily if one is more useful than the other, but and this is the question that has been leading up to this point. I recently listened to a podcast. It was a bunch of philosophers and a guy who's not a philosopher, basically being like, describe all the philosophical ideas, and I will try to, in some way, shape, or form, make them practical, right?
Yeah.
So you get guys like, the Stoics and like all those dudes like, sat together. But it was, in this case, it was two guys. And one of the questions was like, why do you feel, this is what the host said. He said, why do you feel as if math, biology, chemistry, and those other things, I'll just use math for the example, because math and logic and ethics have been around since the dawn of time, right? So just using those as the example, he basically was like, why do you feel like we've progressed with math, but ethics seemingly has not progressed in the same way that math has over the last thousands of years?
Ethics doesn't build skyscrapers and trains and planes. Mathematics does.
So you believe that there's an element of practicality that has allowed it to evolve.
Yeah, that's what's allowed us to evolve. Are those I don't know what you would call them, actual applied sciences or whatever the field is.
Yeah, subjects.
Yeah, those have immediate physical results. Like without, like, you can't get 10 psychologists in a room and go build a building. You know what I'm saying? You need architects to go do that. You can't live in like the idea of piecework and letting go of anger. You can't live in a house of that, right? You need people to build that house. Like people are putting their time into what matters, is building houses and planting crops and doing all that stuff. So that's what's got us to where we're at. So those are all practical and useful for the sake of the argument to advance us as a culture, as a people.
But would you not say with a lack of ethics, the world would cease to exist in a meaningful way? Because without ethics, crime would not have punishment.
Yeah, we get all ethics that we'd want. We'd still be in loincloths.
But is that not arguably more useful? Well, good order and discipline and all these other things? Because you could have, to your example, you could have those same 11 or 12 architects in a room, but if 4 of them are hell-bent on killing the other and there's no order, then nothing gets done. It's a lack of productivity because everybody's killing themselves.
I'm just saying, but like with math, you have concrete stuff out of it, right? You use math to build those things. With lack of ethics, true. Like those guys said, all true when they kill each other. But even if they had all the ethics in the world, that would be great. But with all the ethics in the world, me and you wouldn't be doing this. You wouldn't be able to fly here from Vegas to come hang out with me. We would have met each other. You know what I'm saying? There'd be no military. You would be no need for a military, right? If everybody's so ethical. I'm not arguing. I think ethics are important. I just think math and some of those other applied sciences get so much love because of what they've done for us, because of how far they've gotten us.
Yeah, and maybe I'm hyper focusing on like the words that are said, because even in that last sentence and I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But even in that last sentence, I think if I were to just take at face value explicitly what you're saying, I would still argue that ethics has done more than math. But I can't objectively say that because I don't actually know that. But I'm still taking a point of view of like,
I think ethics would mean so much less without math. Like if it's the ethics between like hitting your neighbor with a stone and killing your neighbor, right, versus mass genocide. Like the ethics only has the meaning by the scale of what it applies to, and we only have that scale because we have the other things.
Does that
make sense?
No, that makes perfect sense. What I want to immediately respond is that not a universal truth of all things? Because if we're going to make that same argument about math, 2 + 2 to your example, 4, who cares? But if I'm talking
what?
If I'm talking 2, in my head, I'm thinking of a very tactical, like missile. I'm like, oh, well, 2 degrees plus 2 degrees no, the example I use is 2 degrees at 20,000 feet. So that's still a 2 + 2, right? And at scale, it's a 2 + 2, but 2 degrees at 20,000 feet, by the time that missile hits the ground, it's not just 2 degrees, right? Depending on how fast the missile is going. Yeah. But I laugh because I paused. That's the example that immediately popped in my head. And I know my mom's going to listen to this and be like, that makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, is that not a universal truth then?
That scale affects the outcome or like the result of things.
Now I've forgotten the exact sentence that you used.
I'm just saying ethics is
Scale determines the impact.
yeah. I'm saying ethics are super important, but the ethics would stay where they're at without technological advancements. The ethics would stay the same. Like, do I hit neighbor with rock? No, I don't. Do I covet my neighbor's wife? I don't. Like it doesn't go far from there. There's only a certain amount of things you can do. Ethics plays more of a bigger part when there's more variables involved, and those variables come from mathematics and science.
I think this is a very open-ended conversation, and I'm extremely curious on what you all think.
Yeah.
So if yeah, I have the luxury of being with Cam where we argue about all the things, but I genuinely think this is a conversation that I want threaded through multiple episodes going forward. And so one, if you're listening this on YouTube or even Spotify, now I'm on Apple Podcasts, but I don't know if you can comment at the bottom, but leave a comment. And I genuinely want to know what you think on whether or not, one, ethics is more practical or less practical than mathematics. Two of them being the oldest subjects is why we have essentially
Yeah.
chosen those two. And then two, in the absence of the other, which do you think has made a better impact on the world? You think that's a good question?
I think it would be of like which one do you which kind of world would you rather want to live in? A world where it was more ethics focused, where we're not focused on science and advancement, or would you rather live in the world where we're kind of where we're at now, where we worry more about technological advancements as opposed to being ethical?
I feel like that's a bad question though, because like who would want to live in the examples that we used, who would want to live in a world where your neighbor throws rocks at you over math? I don't care about math. My neighbor's throwing rocks at me.
That's just the level. I mean, if he's throwing rocks at you, then you go learn some math, then you go to cow hole.
Yeah, I mean that's a different conversation. That's actually a pretty good.
Max wins.
Again, as always, thank you for listening to this episode. Obviously, this is very unique. This is something that I genuinely wanted to capture very quickly. So I hope you all have a great week, and I will see you soon.
Love you.